What's going on, everybody? It's Anthony with Jhuly's Aquatics and Gardening, and welcome back to another video. I want to give you guys a couple of project updates, successes and failures in the garden this year. A few of you have been asking me for some updates on some projects that I filmed, and I just want to show you, what I did, successes and failures. First thing, I hope you guys saw the video that I did when I went over some container inspiration projects for fall, and I'll link it up above if you didn't see it. The first project that I want to show you, back in the late spring, early summer, I planted up this terracotta pot with this standard standard rose. It's a David Austin rose, Princess Anne. It did bloom well, but out of nowhere, the same thing that happened to this rose, that same viral thing that happened to it, happened to this one. And I should have thought about that because they're in close proximity to one another. It did well. The fragrance is out of this world. I've got a couple of blooms hanging on. It's October 4th, and there's still really nice blooms on it. But everything did well. So this agapanthus down here, this is its second flush of bloom that is going out now. I didn't know it was going to bloom a second time, and it pushed a second flush of bloom. So I love this plant even more now because it reblooms. These plants down in here, I don't remember the name of them. I'm not remembering plant names, guys, and I'm not going to apologize for it. I don't know what's going on with my brain today, but I'm not remembering plant names. I think there's some type of daisy. They did all right, and you can see it's starting to push another bloom. But again, I wasn't expecting much out of them this year, and, they didn't disappoint because I didn't have high expectations. The Dusty Miller really took off and was a showstopper this year, and as you can see, it's fabulous. And I love the way it looks in this container, and I love the way it pops from the street. This did well. I fear, though, it's going to go to seed more prolifically than I want, because it is a perennial in my area, but we'll see. It did well. Constant color, never stopped blooming. Another thing that I'm really happy with, I knew it was going to be successful because I had this plant already, was this trailing purple verbena. It did well. It bloomed. I cut it back and it bloomed again, and now it is on its third and weakest flush of blooms. So this container did well. What's my plan for over the winter? I don't know. It's hooked into my drip system. I think I might just leave it here. I might wrap the terracotta pot with burlap and hope for the best. I'm not sure. But that's the first container that I did in that video. This is the second container that we did in this video, and this container gave me a headache this year. As you can see, I have a stake there staking up the tree, the rose tree. Ooh, I still have a bloom on it. And it's one of the blooms there. It bloomed prolifically. As you can see, it's just getting a little bit of black spot now, but I'll treat it. It did well. And it held its form even though it's underneath this pine tree and it gets a lot of shade. It bloomed beautifully. The heuchera that's in there, absolutely stunning. Mirrored the plant here that I can't remember its name of, but I'll put it on the screen. The agapanthus twister, you can see how many blooms it flushed the second time. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 flowers that it pushed out for a second flush of bloom that are, of course, now spent. Did well. The daisies in this container suffered horribly. I had to cut them back big time. I don't know if they're going to reflush, but we'll see. I did not cut back the Veronica in the back here. Again, for the amount of shade that the backside of this container got, these full sun plants did phenomenally. I left the bloom stalks on because I was hoping that a few seeds would drop around the area here, and I would get free plants popping up from the base. But we'll see. One thing that I had to do with this container, the soil settled a lot, so I had to pop it up on some bricks, some edgers, and kind of try to straighten it out. And it's still not 100% straight, but you know, it'll live. I don't know if I filmed planting this saucer with begonias, but as you can see, they went bananas. I just moved it over here. It was, for the longest time, living underneath of this right here, right there on the ground there, on a plant stand underneath of this hydrangea standard, and it did well underneath of there, and it's still doing well. I'll link this hanging basket video up above. This was one of the first hanging baskets or container plantings that I did, and it did phenomenal. It's been hanging in the tree, but the limb that it was hanging on broke off. Luckily, this did not fall, so I was able to save it before it fell and everything broke. Now, the impatiens did well. The begonias did phenomenal. The caladiums came up, but the autumn fern didn't do so hot. It didn't keep up with the vigor of the other plants. So you can actually see, I don't know how well you can tell from the camera, but there's a little gap at the top of it. But hopefully the fern will pick up and fill in that top part. It is coming out in different areas, you know, so it's not a loss. It just didn't do what I expected it to do. And yes, I will be overwintering both of these containers in the house. I don't think I filmed the video where I planted this hanging basket with begonias. It took a hit in our heat waves, but it's coming back. I gave it a feed. I gave everything a feed. Hopefully they will bounce back. I showed you these two boxwoods in my spring container display. That one survived. This one died from boxwood blight, so I got rid of it and all of the soil. This was a success, big time. This container of succulents did phenomenal. This Echeveria exploded. I mean, everything just exploded. The Kalanchoe Lucier, the Euphorbia Trigona Royal Red, it did phenomenal. I mean, look at the Tiracali. It's on steroids. Everything over here, oops, sorry, trying to navigate some rough terrain, did phenomenal. So I am not disappointed in any way, shape, or form with this container. Yes, I will be lifting it off of the base because it comes apart right here, top, bottom. I'll be lifting it off of the base and overwintering it indoors. I did talk with you guys in a video about how to grow tender succulents in the ground. I did have to pull out quite a number of them. I used them in other projects around the yard that I did not film, but I was developing this area and I needed that space in order to visualize what I was doing, so I had to pull them out. They did not die. The project was not unsuccessful, as you can tell by the other plants that are there. But hopefully in another area of the garden next year, I'll be able to plant some succulents in the ground and leave them there all season, and we'll really have a good idea of how to grow tender succulents in the ground over the summer. I did show you this container in a video, how to hook it up on drip. Whatever projects I'm going over, I'll either put a card up above or I'll put a link to the description in the description below. The one heucherella that I had there, it was getting too much sun, so it burned and it died. That other one is severely burned. I will be taking it out of its container and planting it in the ground in more shade. But overall, it did well. I don't know why the smoke bush is burning, because this area, as you can see, I need to do some pruning on my pine trees, but this area gets quite a bit of shade, so I don't know why that's burning, but overall a success. So I have 2 more project updates to show you. One on the west side, which I treat like a stepchild, which I really shouldn't because that's terrible. The pines that I turned into topiaries, they're doing well. Don't look at the flower bed. I'd hardly ever come to this side of the house, so everything over here is looking rough. So these didn't put on as much growth as they could have, again, because I had them on the west side. I did not water them, fertilize them, feed them, clip, prune, treat them as they should have been treated because they were over here. But they are still alive and they're taking on more of a topiary form over time. The other one fell down, so let me pick it up and then I'll show it to you. There is the second topiary. It's looking more topiary-ish, but it's still alive, doing well. The last update I want to give you is on the bog garden. Bog garden, phenomenal. There's a lot of lush growth that needs to be pruned out. Some plants need to be divided, but overall, doing well. Very, very, very well. This is the actual bog that I put together in the video on how to make a bog garden. Again, doing well. A lot of weeds though, so I need to get in here and pull some weeds, cut back the plants, and get it into the garage to hibernate for winter. I think I went over it in the video about filling up the container as much as possible, because you can see just in a year how much the soil has sunk. So that is another reason why you want to fill it up to the brim and really compact the soil, because it will compact and shrink over time. So I hope you guys enjoyed these project updates. As you can see, I've had some successes, I've had some failures, I've had some things that didn't work out as I had hoped. But overall, I think this is a very successful gardening season. If there are any projects or updates that you have or you want me to go over that I did not go over in this video, leave me a comment down below, let me know, and I'll be sure to update you on it as soon as I can. Thanks guys for all the support, and I will see you in the next video. Remember, in all things give thanks, take care, and see you later.